Okay, I'd like to welcome everybody to
Storage.
Architecture Review Board for November, right, chords, etc. What?
You're kind of breaking up a little.
What was that MTV character that did all that, stopping and,
All right,
Max
Headroom.
Max, yeah, that's what you sounded like. Max Headroom.
All right, welcome to November 2020 Architecture Review Board, Town of Brighton. Everyone hear me okay now?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, our first order of business is the approval of last month's minutes. Could I please have a motion to approve those meeting minutes?
Approve.
Could I have a second?
I'll second.
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, Jeff, please note that the meeting minutes for October 27th, 2020 are approved.
All right.
Next on the agenda is old business. First presentation is 10AR-1-20, 114 Sylvain Road, Jennifer and Jess Redlin, renovate and expand a front porch. Are they here?
They are.
Okay, please proceed with your presentation.
Hi, everyone. Thank you very much. I've never done this before, so I don't exactly know what presentation you'd like me to offer, but we're looking to take our existing, I would call it a front stoop, and expand it into a front porch that extends across the front of the house, all the way to our driveway, mostly. Currently, the stoop is sort of a little bit funky. The foundation of it is, like a lot of the houses in our neighborhood, kind of starting to crumble a little bit. When we moved in 5 or 6 years ago, we kind of replaced the steps. They were really falling apart, and added a little piece of porch across the top that leveled out the steps and the entranceway. So it was sort of meant to be a temporary fix 6 years ago. So at this point, we'd love to be able to expand that to make a seating area in front of the house, and a little bit nicer entryway and safer going in and out, especially in the winter when it's windy and cold and snowy. Love to have a little more protection in front of the door. So this is our plan, and I think it fits pretty nicely with the existing architecture, and is in line with a lot of porches in the neighborhood. There's a lot of other houses that have sizable front porches all around the neighborhood. So that's pretty much it, in terms of the scope of the project. If you'd like to look at more of the details, I'd be happy to kind of walk you through these images if Jeff wants to go through them a little bit, but happy to take questions or concerns.
Yeah, I think our first question is just if you could explain materials, and then if your roof materials are matching. You did a good job on your presentation, by the way.
Thank you.
And I think what we'll do is I'll go down the list of all the board members, and they'll either have a question or add a comment.
Okay.
So
materials, it's a poured concrete foundation, in tubes, pressure treated structure, the posts and the joists in the floor. I'm hoping to do the what is it? I forget what the term is. AZEK or something like that for the decking. Shingle roof, nothing too fancy, which matches the existing, or our current roof, which we did have replaced when we moved in. So those shingles are only 5 or 6 years old. So that would match the existing roof on the house. And then just wood trim painted would be my preference.
Okay. Mary, you have any questions?
No, I see that you have a little gable there on your shed roof. Is that for the number to split?
Yeah, just a little detail that kind of makes it stand out a little bit, I think.
And just out of curiosity, I see you have a gate drawn in there on the driveway. Is there a garage back there? Is this your principal entrance?
There is a garage back there, but we don't really use it for cars. We have a lot of, I have a wood shop back there, and we have our kids have toys and stuff and bicycles. So it's around the corner. It's attached to the back of the house around the corner. So it's kind of hard to get to. We do have a gate there, blocks off the backyard. We have a dog, so it's a fenced in backyard.
Is that the existing gate there, Jesse?
Existing, yeah. It's pretty close to it.
All right. That's all I have. Thanks, Stuart.
Yep. Casey?
Yeah, if you can just, Jeff, if you go to the side elevation. I think one thing I did question, is you've got that trim board that's kind of being cut in half. Half of it's going underneath your overhang and half is kind of dying into the vertical trim. Is there any way to raise that roof up a little bit so that your trim is in line with the overhang?
Okay, yeah, so there's the overhang, the exterior of the house has cedar shingles, I think. And so the exact location of that, where that's going to meet is determines where, how much we trim those back up. So yeah, I can move it up a little bit. I don't want to move it too high though, because it's getting close to the windows on the front. So I don't want it, obstructing the windows or having any issues with snow, anything like that building up on the front. But yeah, I think I can figure out a way to make that flush.
Okay. And then the other question is just what material are you using to infill that end panel?
You mean the side?
Yep, right there. Yep.
I'm sorry about that. Planning on sort of just wood, painted wood. Is there something you would recommend differently? You'd look for differently, I'm not sure.
What are you using in the pediment and the gable piece where your address is going to be?
I guess I hadn't thought that far ahead.
Probably should be the same material.
Yeah, probably.
Would it be painted either white or to match the siding? It just looked like a completely different color in the rendering, so that's why I was asking.
Oh yeah, so I had put a blue in. We do have some blue accents on the house already, shutters, and some of our existing porches painted blue, like the roof is painted a navy blue. So I was keeping with that.
Okay.
Mostly there's blue, white, and gray. So that's kind of what I was going for, kind of matching that. And I think there's some of that in the little gable roof as well.
I actually had that same question about the color, and if you go to the packet of material, you can see the blue shutters, and the blue accents in the photos, which made me go to the question: what is the underside of the going to be? Is it going to be painted or?
I think I'd made in my plans, I'd done it rendered blue. I think if you go to the final, I can't remember if I got an image of the underside. Oh, didn't quite catch it. I had gone with the blue as well under the porch, but I may change that to like a stained wood. I'm not quite sure yet. That I have a friend who's doing a project and has the underside of a porch that's a stained beadboard, and it's beautiful. So I might switch it up for that if I have the opportunity. But currently plan is for just the blue as well, the painted blue.
Okay. Fran, do you have any questions?
Are you changing the light fixtures?
I guess probably not in the end. Save the cost. It's easy to put them in the rendering, but it's not easy to do it in real life. So right now there's one porch light to the right hand side of the door as you're coming into the house. So I guess for the sake of simplicity, I'd probably just leave it like that for now. Maybe swap the fixture, but not the actual, not add any other lights out on the other side of the door.
Okay.
Not sure.
Andrew, do you have any questions?
I mean, if you go back, Jeff, if you go back to the plans that you have prepared, I guess, I mean, you will need to submit for building permit for this. I would suggest that you call out all the materials that you will be using, kind of based upon the meeting this evening. But just to reconfirm your commentary, you're going to use pressure treated for the structure of the deck and for the roof elements, but then you're going to wrap those pressure treated elements with some form of wood cladding and or AZEK cladding that will be white in color. Is that correct?
Sounds, yes, accurate.
Okay. The other couple, I have one comment, not necessarily a purview of the board, but you're 2 feet 8 inches off of the ground plane in the front. That is an area, the underside of that deck area will become a moist location and will always be moist. It won't dry out readily and easily. And you may want to consider treating the ground plane underneath your deck and like a, potentially a gravel so that you get some drainage. And also it's a little bit easier to clean, if you will. The other thing, and I bring this up almost every single time when I see something of this nature, is gutters. Do you plan on putting gutters on this structure?
I hadn't, but I guess I have seen other houses with gutters on their porches. So
if you do put gutters on, one of the things that we would like to see is not see the gutter downspouts from the front elevation, if you will. Just try to disguise them as best as possible. Put them in a location where, if all the trim is white, then your gutters should be white as well. The downspout should be white as well to try to meld into the structure. Just want to make sure we don't want to have downspouts going right down through the front of this structure.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you for those suggestions. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Chris, you have any questions? You're muted. You're muted. There you go.
Yeah. So leave it right here for a second. I noticed that the relationship of this, let me pick a better color here. The relationship of the eave here to this column here doesn't match what's going on over here, right? And I also noticed like the distance here means that the door is not centered. I'm just wondering if this ought to scoot over
a few inches.
So that, so that this matches that.
Gotcha.
That would, oops, my hand drifted here. That would drifted too far the other way.
Yep.
Yeah, but you see what I'm saying, so that we get symmetry around this gable.
Okay. Yeah, I think my intention was to center that over the door, and maybe the columns didn't end up quite exactly the same symmetry as the gable. So I appreciate that comment. I'll make that change.
Then I was going to just, well, I'll save it for when we talk about the trim comment, Casey. That I think it's legitimate to honor this so that you get a good flashing details, but I don't know, that sounds like you're going to work to resolve that issue on the side elevation. I'm not sure that raising this up is the right answer. I don't know what the right answer is, but
yeah, there's like the way that the siding hangs over the overhang, there's like a several inches where the siding hangs down beyond the bottom of the overhang. So I feel like I can kind of, I have a little wiggle room there to make that line up.
Okay.
Does that make sense? I'm not sure I explained that quite.
Yeah, I think I visualize it.
Okay.
But, anyway, that's one of the
okay.
nice things
Is that everything from the board?
Actually, just one final question I have. Sorry, Mary. What is the railing going to be constructed out of?
Oh, I had imagined just a wood railing.
That is then painted to match the rest of the trim?
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Mary?
I just wanted to mention that your risers are pretty steep on those steps. I don't know what your setback situation is, but if you could introduce another step, it would be much more comfortable using those steps. But that's just a kind of a suggestion.
Okay. I will take a look at that as well. It
looks like they're 8 inches high, and that's pretty steep for outdoors.
Okay, I'll take a look at that. Thank you.
Okay, Jess, I'd like to thank you for doing your presentation. It went quite well. So you can call Jeff's office in the morning and get our answer.
Okay.
Okay, appreciate it.
Thank you all very much. Appreciate the time.
Have a happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you, you too.
Thank you.
Yep. Bye-bye. Next on our agenda is 10 AR-2-20-333 Rhine Cliff Drive, David Burrows, 2-story addition to the rear of home, visible from the street. David?
Hello.
Hi, David.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah.
One quick comment on 114 Sylvan. I would have asked for lattice panels.
We still have to deliberate, so
yeah.
Thank you.
So
I thought Andrew was going to do that.
Why don't you go ahead, David?
Mr. Chance. 333 Rhine Cliff. I'm basically here to comment on the qualification for what gets submitted to the ARB. And I assume that every project, whether it's visible from the street or not, needs to go before the ARB. And I just want to discuss that and get confirmation that that is the case.
Everything but detached structures.
So everything that is attached, so that would be not a detached garage. So whether it's visible from the street or not, it goes before the ARB.
That's all 4 sides in the code. I just looked at it today.
Okay. So over the past few years, we've missed some chances to review more projects, I think.
David, are you going to present yours?
It's so it's been presented, and I believe that the condition was that rear windows need to be installed on the rear of the garage.
Yes.
So that would imply that every project, whether it's visible from the street or not, goes before the ARB. I just wanted to get confirmation on that.
Yeah, so did you revise your drawings according to what we asked for, or you didn't?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
I didn't get the revisions. And so when I talked to the homeowners, they said that they were interested in coming back and kind of giving reasons toward why they didn't want the windows on the back. And I was expecting them to be here tonight for that.
Okay, so should we table this?
No, hang on a second. The revised drawing is being sent to Jeff. Basically, it's the same as the sketch that was presented earlier.
Yeah, I saw that.
Anyway.
It was in the packet.
Okay.
With the 2 windows above and below.
Right.
Yeah, I saw that was in what we had today. I don't know if it was your original one or not.
That was the original one.
Oh,
so that was conceptually what had been the condition for approval.
Okay, so if that's what we're doing, I'd like to get this on track and go through it and, approve it or not. And
so
if everyone's okay with that.
There you go. So I want to go back to the fact that this is at the back of the project. And if this had not been visible from the street, this wouldn't have needed to go before the review board. Is that true or not?
That is how it is usually handled.
So how it is usually handled is if it's visible from the street.
Now, David, I'm going to cut in here because you were on the architect review board for, a dozen years or so.
Exactly.
You went through these projects. You know that we asked for windows. You also reviewed many projects that are in this precedence. And
if they're visible from the street.
I don't know what direction you're going. I mean, if you guys don't want to put windows in, we don't have a legal foot to stand on. You'll have to deal with the planning board and everybody else.
So
if you don't want the windows, there is the ability to appeal to the zoning board.
I mean,
So the zoning board.
Yeah.
So what qualification is there for a project to appear before the review board?
If it's,
you're filing for a permit, right? You're adding
Right,
on
so-
to the house.
So every project, whether it's visible from the street or not, if it's in addition to a house, needs to go before the architecture review board. So before, you know, I don't know how many years ago, anything that came before the counter was looked at by Tracy or Paul, whoever was at the counter, and only if it was visible from the street did it require architecture review board approval. So was there something that was fuzzy back then?
Is this project, any of this project not visible from the street? Are you saying this addition you're putting on is not visible from the street?
Except for the 4 feet that projects to the side yard.
Yeah, David,
So that's why it came before the board.
So you have an option to do what we request or recommend or not. And
well, so I'm after a bigger question. My bigger question is, what projects need to go before the architecture review board? Is it only those that are visible from the street, or any project, whether it's visible from the street or not?
the bigger question is going to have to be resolved, and not in with this project. It's going to be something that we have to consider with the board later on, after all these have been heard and we've made decisions on them, and then we'll kind of discuss that amongst ourselves and come to that decision.
So it would help me with future projects to know if they've got to go before the board. And my assumption now is that every project, whether you see it from the street or not, needs to go before the architecture review board. So I just want to make sure I
plan on that, David.
On that.
Plan on that, David.
Don't
go in and do any projects that aren't being reviewed.
Right. So is there something in writing that would confirm that, so I can make sure my clients are aware?
David, I will reach out to you after the meeting and after we talk with what we have decided, and if it requires kind of a broader distribution to the rest of the town and on the website, then I will take care of that.
Okay, great. And staff at the counter should know too.
Yes.
All right. Well, I appreciate your taking this seriously.
Thank you, David. So are we through here, or?
Yeah, this is what we're going to build. It looks like the sketch, only a little better. We could just draw those windows on the side of the house, I suppose, but we're going to use real windows.
That's fine. I like real windows, David.
Okay.
Have a happy Thanksgiving.
All right. Same to you. Thanks for putting up with me.
Thanks, Dave.
Okay, next on the agenda is 10AR-4-2055 Whitestone Lane, Stahl Properties Associates, adding a dormer to the front of the house. Are they here?
One second.
That's the old drawing, right?
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, hi, welcome, Kim.
Oh, hi, hey, how are you? I think I got it. I'm sorry, I'm on a phone. I haven't done this from my phone before.
Okay. Welcome.
Am I checked in correctly so far?
It sounds like it. Everyone can hear her?
Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. Very good.
Okay, go ahead, Kim.
Okay, so yeah, this is a follow-up from the last meeting where some board members discussed some issues they thought they might have with some of the structure, the formation of the dormer, as well as cupola height and some window issues, I believe. So some of the changes that we made are we removed the shed dormer that had just a lay-on on it, and we changed the construction of the two outside gable dormers to fit with a more traditional construction method with valley rafters on the two outside dormers, with getting rid of the also lay-on gable in the middle one, keeping it set back. and having a shed in the middle. We also then took a step to lower the cupola height to what we thought still fell in, you know, somewhat of a what we thought looked proportionate. And that the third thing I believe was to change the double hung windows in the middle part of the dormer to double hung. I had a small problem with that, and that we wanted to stick with the same manufacturer and the same overall look on the outside as the double hung windows, though they're not required in the middle section. This particular window manufacturer, as opposed to some others, do not, they don't use a, some of them would have stationary windows with like an oversized center mullion going across to look like a double hung. They didn't do that. So I thought better that the appearance looked better with all matching windows, even though they won't be used on the inside because that's an open area.
Okay. Is that everything?
I believe that's everything.
Okay, Mary, you have any comments or questions?
No, I've already taken a look at it. It looks fine.
Okay, Casey?
Nope, I think it addresses pretty much everything we asked for. Thank you.
Fran?
I feel the same. The cupola height is much better, and the way that the gables are dressed, I think it looks good.
Andrew?
Yeah, I agree. I think it addressed our comments from earlier.
Chris?
So I agree that it is much, much better. I do have a question regarding the shed in between the two gables. And I'm wondering, is there a reason why the eave of the shed roof is flush with the rake of the gables? And could that not be framed to have the eave of the shed set back a little bit from the gables?
Yeah, that is a good point. I think for the amount that it was set back, we were just going to have a larger overhang there.
That's what's shown. I mean, and just looking at the framing plan, I'm not sure that's, you know, why that couldn't step back.
Yeah, I guess that could step back. I mean, to be honest with you, I never really questioned that with the architect. I wouldn't mind it step back, to be honest with you.
A little more light in there.
I don't really mind it this way either, though.
No, like I said, it's far better. So I guess obviously we're going to talk and deliberate. My thought would be if we could step that back a little bit, I think that would even improve it further, and it would really make those gables pop and make the shed.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Would I have to come, if we make that change, can I just do it, or would I have to come back to another meeting?
I think, oh, go ahead, Stuart.
I was going to say, I think it can just be handled in the field and inspector check on it.
Yeah. Okay. That would be great, because I think, again, we're still working on the construction drawings, and those can be changed. And I'd actually like it better like that as well.
Okay.
Perfect.
Sorry. I didn't follow the conversation about the windows. Do they just not offer any sort of fixed window at all?
Oh, no, they do. I just really, personally, I was set on having the windows up, because from the outside, you can't tell that there's no room in there. And I was somewhat particular about making sure all 5 windows look to be the same style window, where some manufacturers will offer a stationary or a casement window to mimic the look of a double hung with the wider center where the rails would be, the mid rail would be where they overlap. And this window manufacturer doesn't do that. So they would definitely appear to be stationary. And I'm not sure what the request was made for, whether it was for, you know, simply because they wouldn't be needed on the inside, or if someone preferred the look of different, the 3 windows in the middle being different. I sort of preferred it to be the same. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think it, you know, at least from my standpoint, it comes down to a matter of preference. You know, if it were me, some square fixed windows, you know, even with the either true or simulated divided lights, whatever those are, might make a nice, again, to help distinguish the shed from the gables.
The area.
But,
oh, okay.
But, you know, that's, you know, we're gonna obviously deliberate, and we'll see what everyone else's opinion on that is as well. I'm not speaking for the board at that point. So
Okay.
Those are the only questions I had, Stuart.
Okay, thank you, Chris. Brian, you have any questions or comments?
No, I think it looks good. All set.
Okay. Kim, thank you very much. You have a happy Thanksgiving. You can call Jeff's office in the morning and get our answer.
Okay.
And
Very
we appreciate your revisions. Thank you.
Okay. Happy Thanksgiving, all.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Next on old business is 10 AR-8-20, 144 Hemingway Drive, Ed and Teresa Kiowaski, excuse me if I said that wrong, constructing a new section of roof and reframing the front entrance. Is Ed or Teresa here?
Yes, I am. Thank you so much, and good afternoon, everyone. I have just wanted to mention that the constructor, Cornell Construction, was to be on this call tonight to address your questions and concerns. He emailed me yesterday and said he couldn't. And so he said that he sent information to Jeff today in regard, maybe yesterday, in regards to those concerns that were addressed at last month's meeting. Unfortunately, he did not CC me on that email, so I do not know if you have received it or not. And if you have not, then I would have to defer to just table this to next month.
Yeah, I read the message. I don't know if anybody else did. It basically said that it had to be worked out.
Hold on, Mary. I think that's a separate subject.
Okay.
Jeff?
That's what she was talking about.
Jeff, do we have revised drawings in there?
There are not revised drawings, but he sent in the letter.
Oh, that email. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Mary. I read that as well.
Okay.
So from this point, are we deliberating that letter and his approach, or are we tabling this?
Well, we didn't get design.
Right.
So it was basically a verbal explanation, as you know, saying that he'd work it out.
And can we table it again?
I don't know. I don't think so.
Okay.
I think a second table will disqualify it.
Right.
Can we postpone? Can the applicant postpone until we get better information?
When I talked to him, when I talked to Bob, he said that the way he drew it, he said he wouldn't be able to draw it in a way that shows it differently to show like what would be true, and that when they build it eventually, that the person that's going to be constructing it will have to frame it on site, because right now they don't know the conditions under the roof. Is basically what he told me. But he did say that.
I'm not buying that.
Yeah. Well.
Yeah, it sounds vague.
He did say it would be framed on site so that the pitch was drained down in the flat valley. That it wouldn't be a flat valley.
Jeff, do you want to postpone it?
We wouldn't be able to postpone it again unless Teresa would like to do so verbally.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to lead to.
It just Bob didn't sound like he was provide us, because I asked for the drawings and he basically said that what the board was asking for he wouldn't be able to show. So that was his take on it.
Well, I'm not. Yeah, we can't operate that way.
No.
So
no, we can't.
So Jeff, I'm asking you, would you like to ask Teresa to postpone?
Yeah.
In case you withdraw for tonight?
That's what I'm looking for.
Yeah.
Yeah. Teresa, would you like to postpone until Bob would be available for the call, or drawings, revised drawings?
Yes, I would. Okay, so all right, so we're just looking for the revised drawings and the pitch. Okay.
Thank you, Teresa, and sorry, I apologize.
Well, I do too. I didn't expect him to cancel at the last minute. So thank you for your time, and you have a pleasant evening and a very good Thanksgiving.
Thank you.
Thank you. You too.
You too.
Bye.
Thank you, board. I think that was the route to take. So appreciate everyone on that. On to new business is 11 AR-1-20, 88 Southern Parkway. Add a small mudroom to the rear of the house. It's a corner lot, and remodel the kitchen. Is 88 Southern Parkway here?
Steve, it looks like you're muted.
Are we all set?
Not quite.
Okay, can the board hear me now?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay.
Hi, welcome.
Thank you. My name's Todd Murata from Carini Engineering. And our project here today is we're proposing about a 12.5 foot by 7.5 foot addition to the rear of the home to create some mudroom space. The existing area that they use for a mudroom now is just really, really congested. There's multiple doors, multiple heights. It's a very odd space. And our intention is to predicate this on not going back any further than the existing bump out that is on the back. So that's why we're back that 7.5 feet. All of the exterior finishes, the siding is a stucco finish. Our intention is to match that as closely as possible. There's a brick element that runs around as a banding around the foundation that we intend to match. All of the window detailing, there's a expanded lintel and a wood trim surround on all the windows that our new windows and door are going to try to emulate. And then there's a railing element. It's an existing flat roof that we're trying to replicate. We're going to maintain the same height of that railing, even though the roof, we're expecting to drop that roof down a little bit. And that is to allow a clearance at that existing window. There's a small window in that existing stair geometry that we don't want to get rid of, but we're going to have to shorten it. And so we're trying to preserve as much height on that existing window as we can. And that is above the one door there that you see, sort of that squarish shaped window. So yeah, if you can.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah. So you're preserving that window.
Well, we're preserving it to an extent. It's going to need to be replaced, but we're preserving it to an extent in which we can still have a salvageable size.
Okay.
So the drawings there that I'm showing you are kind of an existing look and a proposed look at both the rear elevation and the east and the south elevations. The south elevation is the Midland Drive elevation.
Yeah.
There's no change of any consequence on the north side.
Real quick question on the above. How are you going to drain that roof surface?
Okay, so that's a low pitch EPDM type roof. It's going to have a pitch of about 1/4 in 12.
Yep.
And so that will discharge to a gutter at the rear. There's an existing downspout at the corner of the existing bump out that we're going to tie into.
Okay.
And the railing is iron? It looks like. Yeah.
Yes. I believe it's iron. One of the photographs that we submitted, it's a metal railing of some type. It looks like it's iron. And our intention is to have that fabricated to match that.
The current one is iron, you're saying?
Yes.
Yeah, that's kind of important because powder coated aluminum wouldn't do it on this house.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay. Casey, do you have any questions or comments?
No, I really don't.
Fran?
No.
Andrew?
I guess just back on the downspout discussion, where is the existing gutter coming down? Where's
so as you look at it's just to the left. Well, it's just to the right of the electric light fixture that I show in the middle of that rear elevation. So right where the dashed line is, that's where the existing downspout runs. And that discharges the gutter from that existing flat roof above. And our intention would be to pitch our new gutter to tie into that as well. It's a small enough roof surface. I don't think it'll overload the capacity of that downspout.
I'm not concerned about the capacity necessarily. Is that tied into an underground drain system?
Yes,
or that's back block? It's in so I can understand why you want to tie into it. It's just now you have a downspout that comes down right in the middle of your addition.
Understood.
From an aesthetic standpoint, that is poor.
Agree.
I understand the feasibility under it, and I understand why you would do that, but boy, if you could just take your other roof section and bring it to a downspout that was on a splash block off of the corner, then you relieve that entire wall. But I get it. I just speak for myself, not the board.
Yeah. The only thing I would add to that, and I understand that, would be there's an existing hardscape that kind of wraps that corner that I think a splash block would have a negative effect on, because the leader would have to go now beyond the existing hardscape. And I think if you can, I don't know if I gave you a floor plan or not, but you'll see how that returns around the side of that proposed addition.
Okay. Chris, do you have any comments or questions?
Yeah, I'm curious about this roof offset. I'm also curious about the detailing of the roof overhang, because I know that there's some exposed rafters on the existing. Maybe I need to back up and really make sure I understand. Aside from the window changes on the existing, right now you're not proposing to change any of it or rebuild any of it, right? It's the existing structure of the roof to remain. Actually, correct. Go back one. That photo, Jeff, go back one. That's a good photo. So all of the, oops, jumped again.
All of what you see there is intended to remain, but we want to bring our new roof in just under that existing eave so we can maintain a portion of that window geometry that is right adjacent to that existing roof structure.
That's really odd.
Having it set down. Well, we're trying to temper that by having the railing be the same height all around.
Right, I get that. Is the railing that goes and returns back to the house right now, this one going to stay?
Yeah, that'll stay. Exactly. It's just a decorative roof element.
Well, there's a door up here, so you're going to walk out onto this. You'll have a railing here, and then a few inches down, you'll have a new roof coming around here.
But I think the step would create a hazard there to try to take that railing out.
I'm not suggesting you take the railing out. I'm wondering why this, it just seems a little contrived.
Well, I think due to the nature of the old technology and the new technology and the roofing materials, we don't really want them to align. I think flashing it in underneath that roof has a couple of benefits for us. One, we don't have to marry the framing exactly. So if we need to get a little more pitch, we'll have the ability to do that. And two, we can preserve a little more window height in that existing window geometry that is in the stair landing there.
I think there's other ways to achieve that. And really it makes for a very messy addition on what is already a little bit of a messy addition. So we're piling a little bit of bad on bad. Again, I'm speaking for myself, not the board at this point, but Sounds like you've looked at it and you're pretty dead set on the need to do that. Did you look at options? Did you look at options where you would continue the detailing and the level of the roof all the way around?
Well, the detailing will be consistent. We'll expose the rafter tails just as you see it there. It's just in an end-on view. You don't see that. And then, you know, whether we step it down or not, it's, you know, something that we would, I think it's kind of an important detail for the reasons that I've stated, but I mean, if the board felt strongly about it, we would reconsider it.
I real quick, how are you handling your floor level if you have?
Oh, okay. So the floor of
three
that
different levels there.
Yeah, the existing floor level of that existing entry point is sort of at grade, as you see there.
Yeah.
We're not proposing to really change that elevation. So it might be a couple of inches higher. There is some pitch on that existing patio space. So as we come forward, we're going to actually be dropping, grade will drop a couple of inches. So we'll pick up like a 2 or 3 inch step in, but that existing elevation sort of needs to stay the way it is. It's a lower level than what is surrounding it. The kitchen is just to the right of those two doors, and that floor is at a different elevation. That is also the entry into the basement.
Yeah.
And then there's a small flight of stairs that take you up into the foyer. So there's a lot of different things kind of all merging there in the floor plan that would make raising that floor.
Your kitchen wall is staying?
The wall between the kitchen is going to be removed to some point. The side wall that you see there with the double window is going to go, about half of it's going to go away in favor of a new opening.
So how are you going to handle the floor from the transition from there to the new mudroom?
The change in elevation is only going to be 6 inches, and it'll occur at the header of the stair. At the top of the stair, there'll be a dropped header that holds that existing roof. There's plenty of headroom.
Okay.
How about the tie-in from the other downspout from the upper roof?
The upper roof, we'll have to discharge it onto the roof deck.
Oh, so you're gonna sheet flow it off of the deck?
I don't know. Well, the other option would be to run a downspout on top of the roof deck, but I don't think that's even a very good detail. And bring it around.
Or you bring a new downspout into the left of the whole thing and miss the roof entirely.
Can we see the plan of the patio, the outdoor area, so we can see?
Before we get in too deep, I just want to ask Brian if he has any comments or questions.
Well, I wasn't finished though, Stuart.
Sorry, Chris.
I got interrupted. So my question on this window at the landing of the stair that you keep referring to, what's above that window?
There's a 3rd floor landing directly above that window. It would be impossible to move it any higher. There's a 3rd floor stair, and its landing is directly above that window.
So what is the window? I'm looking at the east elevator. Oh, perfect. So what about this window? What does this window look into?
So you'd have to refer to the floor plan. That is a U-shaped stair. There's 2 landings on that stairwell, which is why it's a different height.
So you have a window into the landing if you keep this one?
We do, but the window adjacent to it, the window that's in question, has a direct relationship to the foyer. When you walk in the front door, you see that window. You do not see the other window.
How do I see it if it's above the landing?
You're looking up the stairs.
You're looking up the first run of stairs. That window is very visible from the front door.
I guess I'd have to see an upper floor plan. Oh wait, here we go, 2nd floor.
Yeah, you'll see it on the 2nd floor plan. So you see how there's two landings on that flight of stairs.
Yeah, I see it. Yeah, this whole thing is odd, and I don't think your addition is making it any less odd. Okay, well, I don't have any other questions.
Brian, do you? Have any questions, comments?
Yeah, on the existing structure on the back, Jeff, if you go back to one of the images we were just looking at, keep going.
Do you want the elevations or the pictures?
The pictures. That picture right there. Your electrical main is right across that existing structure where you're now putting windows. Are you intending to move that, and where are you going to put it?
I would have to move. Move where it needs to move.
Okay.
I don't know those details yet, but we would move it to an appropriate place, perhaps on the side if possible.
Or can you put it underground?
I don't know the answer to that question.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what that even is.
Looks like a telephone, possibly.
Yeah.
Well, you've got your house mains right above it.
That might be communication. I don't know.
I have those on my house. I'm pretty sure that's the main electric, but
it looks like just a conduit on the outside of the building to me, but I could be wrong.
Okay. Anyone have any other questions or concerns? Okay. Jim, is it?
It's Todd.
Todd, sorry. You can call Jeff's office in the morning and get our answer.
Okay.
Do you have anything else to add real quick before we sign off?
No, I just, the existing architecture, I think, made as good of an attempt as possible to not really change, the flavor of what's there. But, I'm not disagreeing that, if you could do it over again, that flat roof bump out, maybe not the most attractive structure, but I don't feel like we're modifying it to a detriment. But that's for you guys to decide.
Hey, Todd, just real quick, it looks like your electric service comes in up on the second floor.
Okay.
In that picture, it's up on the corner. And that's probably the
telephone there it is, yep.
Communication coming in just below that. Got a lot of wires coming in.
Yep.
Okay, Todd, you can call Jeff's office in the morning and get our answer on this. And want to thank you and wish you a happy Thanksgiving.
As well to you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, on to signage. Is that everything, Jeff? There's no other presentations on the agenda?
Nope. That's
okay.
It.
Why don't we look at signs? We've got 1592 at 749 East Henrietta Road. Mandy Friend.
We tabled them last time, and they didn't. I contacted her several times in the sign company, and they didn't revise anything for me.
Okay, table it.
Or I think it would be probably denied without prejudice.
Okay. All right. Next is 1593, 2852 West Henrietta Road, Town Line Liquor and Wines, LLC, building face sign, Town Line Liquor and Wines. This is West Henrietta Road.
And yeah, it's West Henrietta and Brighton's Town Line Road.
Is that the pawn shop now, or the?
It was
a tool company.
Something like that.
That wasn't Mr. Deals, is it?
It was Mr. Deals.
Ah, that was a great sign. This one's terrible.
It's a nice, simple sign. I disagree.
They should have called it Mr. Deals Liquor and Wines.
DLRW.
Is the size within the parameters?
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
Okay, right down the line, Mary. Okay.
Yeah.
Casey?
Fine, legible and simple.
Fran?
It's illuminated, right?
Yep.
Okay, yeah, I don't have a problem with it.
Andrew?
Other than I don't particularly care for the style, and it's fine.
Chris?
I'm outvoted anyway, but the sign could be improved.
I don't know. You could pick up Andrew, and
I think it's
still
just
got
two
two others.
I think the town line is too close to the liquor and wines. It looks not very well thought out.
Yeah.
But is it legible? Sure. Is it offensive? No. So I'm also curious though, is that just for rendering's sake, showing all these casks, or are they actually going to put vinyl graphics on the windows? I mean, it is a serious question. Are they planning to do graphics on the windows like that?
I don't know.
I don't know if they're allowed to actually, for safety reasons.
Yeah.
Well, it can be.
They're not, as far as the code goes, they're not allowed to.
Oh, really? Okay. So that must be some sort of rendering of what people imagine it looks like on the inside, but what I'm imagining looks totally different. No reasonable objection.
Brian?
I think to Chris and Andrew's point, I'm not a fan of the style, but it would be nice if they separated town line and then liquor and wines a little bit. They look a little too close. So can they space it just a little more?
It looks like they left a larger margin on below than they did above, and that could definitely go down.
Yeah, it just looks a little too close together.
Could I
on
offer,
that? That's fine.
Could I offer a different suggestion versus just splitting those two up? If you were to take town line and you were to separate each one of those letters and lengthen town line on that sign, because it's blah.
You mean expand the spacing between the letters? That would be a pretty big. I don't know if you'd still read it as a word. I understand what you're saying.
Yeah, well, you might read it as
joke.
You might read it as toe and line.
Yeah, toe and line, liquor and wines. I like that.
That's right.
It's a rebranding exercise, right?
That's right. Okay, so that's everybody. So it sounds like it's going to pass there, Jeff.
All right.
Do you guys want to make those recommended changes?
I don't think it's that much of an improvement.
Okay.
It's not, but if we got to stare at it, why not suggest it?
I'm not staring at it. It's a crappy sign on a crappy building.
Facing Henrietta, so we don't care.
No, it faces Brighton, I think.
It does, yeah.
Okay.
Well, we got to care then.
How about 1594 250 Edgewood Congregation Shema Israel freestanding sign. Okay.
What's it made of?
This is moving into the church that's presently there that we reviewed the entrances like 2 years ago.
Yeah, they're basically taking down the sign that's there and replacing it with this like basically the same size sign, but with a different.
Okay.
Yeah, they're keeping the supports.
Yep.
It's just switching it out.
Yep.
Okay. Mary?
I like Town Line Liquor better, but you know. It's okay.
Thank you. Casey?
I'm fine with it.
Fran?
I'm good with it.
Andrew?
Gosh, it's terrible, but I don't know what else you can do except rearrange the wording on it, or it just seems like a lot. Congregation Shema Israel, all on that line turns into one huge one word. But if that is what they call themselves and how they have everything else, then I'm fine with it.
Chris?
I'm fine with it.
Brian?
I just have one suggestion. The top cutout is an oval. Their logo is kind of a circle underneath it. Could they just make it a circle and not an oval? Would look better. Like a half circle instead of a half oval.
Mean the trim out, the cutout at the top?
Yeah. It looks a little wonky.
Yeah, I'm not taking that as dimensionally accurate, but maybe that's my fault for assuming.
The other thing that just caught my eye when Andrew spoke was that things are floating. I don't know if they could separate the congregation and the Masonic, those two lines with maybe an underscore.
Messianic. That also brought something to my attention, which is that whereas the upper line is condensed, maybe a lot because they needed to fit it. The other line, the words on the lower line are too expanded relative to the space between the words. So they're not, they're kind of, they would be stronger if they tightened up the font inside each word there.
I would agree. Everyone good with Mary's suggestion?
Yes.
Okay. Approved as presented with those suggestions?
Okay.
Suggestions, which besides Mary with the
circular
turning of the
make sure the
circular top.
Circular cutout. Yeah.
I don't particularly care about that, but
can we see the other
board
Sorry.
Says.
Can we see the existing ones so we can see if it oh yeah, no, that's an ellipse, yeah. And see, they did an elliptical shape underneath it.
Yeah, but it follows the form of the 250.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's an artboard.
So, okay.
Do we want to make the circular
Yeah, you can list everything.
bump out a recommendation then?
Yep.
Okay.
And you got all the other comments, Jeff?
Yep.
Okay. So can we move on to 1595?
Can hardly wait.
It's right next to Town Line Liquor.
It's a great sign on a crappy building.
Mary.
I think it's their brand logo. So if it's either if it's there, that's what it is.
Casey?
I agree with what Mary said. Pretty simple.
Forget about the shadows.
Fran?
I'm good with it.
Andrew?
Best one so far. Good.
Chris?
They cleared a low bar.
All right. Brian?
Yep, fine.
Okay.
The case where you have to switch the building out, not the sign.
Yeah. So that's approved, Jeff?
All right.
Okay. Back to old business. 10 AR-1. Mary, do you approve?
Yeah, I think we wanted to talk about the inserts on the triangular inserts, what material that was going to be.
Okay, so can I go down the lines and get approve or deny?
Yeah, no.
And then we'll comment.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, there would be a couple of conditions probably or stipulations, but yes.
Okay. Casey?
Yeah, approve with conditions.
Okay. Fran?
Approve with conditions.
Andrew?
Approve with the conditions.
Chris?
Approve with conditions.
Okay. Brian?
Approved with the conditions that Chris had mentioned previously.
Okay, so let's list out the conditions. Mary, you want to do it?
No, they were mentioned by someone else, so they should address them, I think.
Good eye, Chris, by the way. It was very light.
Yeah, that was good.
Thanks. I didn't think it was going to make it through to me. You know, I mean, it's one of the nice things about going last is most people already cover everything. But
you want me to bump you up next week for next month?
No, I like this slot. I really do. Takes the pressure off.
He's a cleanup guy.
So, you know, the last two guys on the list tonight by the first round next month.
All right.
Sweet.
Yeah, you know what? If we're able to do it, I will gladly buy the first round. How about that?
It won't be in Brighton or the city.
I don't know. My neighborhood's still in yellow.
There you go.
So are we going on your deck?
Yeah, why not? Okay.
All right, so let me take a switch.
Yep.
Yeah. Shift column to make the gable symmetrical. That wasn't very good.
Locate columns symmetrically under gable.
There you go.
And centered on the door.
Centered on door.
Centered on door.
Does that change his gable pitch? Is he going to change the gable or no? He's just moving it in?
No, I think
the gable stays put. The column shifts.
Yeah.
Everything shifts to the
Okay.
left.
Okay.
And then Andrew, you had the comment of the aggregates underneath.
I don't know if I would make that a condition of the approval. I think that's just a recommendation for treatment of the ground underneath the deck.
Okay.
But I would make the condition that all materials to be listed on the building plans for review by town staff prior to issuance of the building permit, because he doesn't have anything labeled here on what all the materials are.
Right, right.
So Andrew, weren't you suggesting a skirting on that porch?
No, that was Dave Burrows, but how does everyone feel about that?
You know, this porch is pretty high, actually. So I'm not sure that I care one way or the other.
He's probably going to put.
I'm just putting it out there. I know they're going to scrub it up, I'm sure.
You know, I took that comment as another, frankly, I thought he was thumbing his nose at us that, you know, we have required skirting in the past too, and we didn't mention it here. So
yeah,
I don't know, I could take it or leave it, honestly, on this particular one.
Okay.
And then Andrew, I think you talked about troughs and downspouts.
Yeah, and I think maybe the condition is to ensure that the downspouts are not located on the front facade of the addition.
Yeah.
And that they shall be treated with the same color as the trim material of the proposed addition.
And Casey, did you mention the panels, the insets, or was that Mary?
I was on the bottom up questioning the material. You just said it would just be wood painted.
And the color, right?
Yeah, which the color is not a big deal. I mean, that's kind of, they can change the color anytime. It was more just were they trying to do siding in there, or it sounds like it'll be a flat panel.
And then all the roofing material was to match existing. And I think the colors of the trim out were going to match existing. Was there anything else?
Just that weird trim.
Yeah,
that's showing right now.
Yeah, so
which he seemed to understand if he can just cheat that up a couple inches.
Okay, so Chris and Casey, do you guys want to comment on that right now? And
all I was saying is that the trim should just get resolved on what makes sense for the position of the structure to allow for the flashing and for the proportions. You know, I think that the trim is an important detail, but I think it's something that should follow behind once you've set all these other things appropriately. And I think he's got the right amount of room without much to spare, if any, underneath the upper windowsills, both visually and to make sure that it flashes in properly. So I think whatever happens there on that corner is going to just need to be whatever is appropriate based on those parameters.
Did you get that, Jeff?
Yeah, he's okay with it.
Okay.
Something has to happen. I'm not sure what, but I'm not encouraging to raise the roof.
Right. You had mentioned that due to flashing, right?
Yeah,
okay.
Proportionally too. I think the proportions are nice as drawn.
So, Jeff, you're all set?
Yep.
Okay. Dave Burrows, I don't know if that's approval as presented or it's a denial or just let it go. It was kind of, I'm not sure.
Did we table it or did we approve with conditions?
We approved it with conditions, I thought.
Okay.
Yeah. And then I talked to the homeowners and they were interested in kind of talking about their case, why they didn't want the windows, but then they weren't on the meeting, and David didn't want to do that.
So
is there any action here?
No, there is no action. And so here's another question. If everything's approved, there's no reason for him to even be on the agenda. And I think we need to keep that in mind.
Well, the reason that I did it is because when I talked to the homeowners, they wanted to come in and kind of make their case for what was.
But like that can be done administratively right at the counter. And then if they want to get back on the agenda, so be it.
If I understand it right, I think the homeowner wanted to explain to us as the board to reconsider our conditions because they wanted to, defend not having windows, and that just plain didn't happen. So,
yes.
Right. I think in the scheme of things, if they don't show up, then nothing changes. So,
I think what happened, and this is just speculation, David explained to them that as a former board member, he's aware of the fact that the board focuses on what is visible from the road, even though that's not in the code that it has to be just visible from the road. I was looking at it today. So I think that he's feeling targeted by the board, and that he just came in to say, this is not, prove to me that you have the right to do this. And so I that's all it was. I don't know where it goes from there.
I just feel it's a waste of time.
Yeah.
There's other channels he can take. I don't know.
If I had known.
Well, and my understanding is if the addition is visible from the street, then we review all sides of the addition. If it's completely not visible from the street, then we don't review it. So,
I mean, my experience with Dave is when he was on the board, he would take a project like this and totally redesign it and hand it to the people. We used to have to curtail him on that all the time because he went well above and beyond. So for him to come back in and present this to us, I think is a waste of his time and a waste of ours and a waste of the client's money. He could have handled this over the phone, or he may not be getting paid on this or got chewed out, but it's really not our role to appease him.
If I had known his intention was only to come in with those comments that he made, then I wouldn't have had him put him on the schedule.
Yeah, no, and I think this is a reason why he works for himself, because he can get a little ornery. So,
all right. So it's previously approved then.
Yeah, and then Jeff, if you want to, you and I can have a conversation with him going forth that this wasn't really at least I didn't appreciate it. So I don't know how everyone else feels, but
I echo that. His question was not, it was out of turn, right? This was not the venue or the way to go about doing that.
Exactly. So
I agree.
And he probably had it recorded. He was in our panel the whole time too, as well. So, all right. Next is 10 AR-4-20 Whitestone Lane. Mary?
I liked Chris's suggestion that they recess the overhang to the to not line up with the rakes on the dormers. I don't care that much about the windows. Yeah, I really like it when windows, the function in the form are the same, and it's not the case here, but it sounds like it's an expedient.
But you approve as presented with the
condition. I'm sorry, I was going too far.
Okay. Casey?
Yeah, I was fine with it as it was presented. I do agree with what Chris suggested. I'm not sure if I would make it a condition or say that's acceptable if they made that change, just because I don't know how it's going to work as far as the construction goes, looking at it from this angle.
So you're saying they might have to change the slope of that roof?
You would have to.
Yeah.
If you want to line that up.
Okay, Fran?
So I approve, and I just want to ask though the question about the recessing at the shed roof. We would have to change the slope, or it then make it so the edge of the roof doesn't align with the edge of the gables.
Oh, I'm not sure I would do that. It would change the slope. It would make it a bit steeper. You would end up with a little bit of eave trim on the gable. But from a framing perspective, there's nothing that is actually, this might actually be even harder for them, because if they do move it back, they can support the end of the shed with the top of the wall infill. This way, they have to run a header across between the two ends of the gable, or between the two eaves of the gable, to catch that whole shed roof. Or I don't know, maybe the framing has to go up. It's actually harder.
Yeah.
But anyway, you were asking, I could approve with a recommendation rather than a condition.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Regarding that.
I agree with that. I'm good with that too.
Andrew?
I could approve with a recommendation, and I could also approve it with the condition. I think that if you actually pull that eave back, yes, that shed roof becomes steeper, but won't that match the existing roof pitch then? I believe it's shallower now.
It wouldn't match because it's springing from the same ridge.
Yeah, I'll never be exactly the same.
We're only talking about a few feet, right? We're not talking about major setback change.
Right, but it's not going to match the roof pitch there, because the main roof and the shed roof are coming off the same ridge.
It'll approach it a little more, but I don't know if it'd be noticeable.
Yeah, you'll never see it. You'll never see
we're only talking, I mean, 1'9", I believe, in plan would be the setback.
Yeah.
It's not a huge step.
Okay. Brian?
Oh, I'm fine with the update.
Okay. So Jeff, did you get everything down at, approval with recommendation?
Yep.
Okay.
How do you guys feel about the cupola? You think that's good?
Yeah, I'm fine with it.
I'm fine.
Yep.
Fabulous.
Yep. I honestly don't remember what the last one looked like because it wasn't in our previous version.
Yeah, it would be good to see the previous.
Well, remember, it was separate. She had it. She had it as a separate thing.
Oh, yeah. I don't have that.
Yeah, the cupola.
Okay, we ready to move on to the next one?
Yeah.
So 10 AR-8-20 is withdrawn. No action. New business 11 AR-1-20, 88 Southern Parkway. Mary, yay or nay?
I'm not convinced they worked out all the details of this. I'm really concerned about that drainage issue. He's going to, I don't know. I just don't think they put all the details on the drawing, so and they're not resolved.
Yes or no?
I don't know if someone can come up with a condition that will make this work. I'd be willing to entertain that, but I'm not sure.
All right, I'll come back to you. Casey?
I think I'm in a better position. I think from a look standpoint, I don't mind it. They're trying to match what's going on. But like everyone brought up as the conversation went on, how does this roof work and the window and the drainage? So I don't know how to verbalize that and put it in writing, and if that ends up being an approval or if it's more of a table and try again. But it's not because of how it looks from the street. It's more the roof. It's the constructability.
Okay, Fran?
I don't have a problem with the way it looks, and I think the slope of that could work, but I am concerned with everything that we started to talk about with the detailing of it and how the downspout's gonna, so I don't mean to be wishy-washy, but I want to see if we have conditions that are reasonable that we can put on this. I would be good with that, but.
Yeah, so do we sort of point to what actually started that whole conversation is that landing window? But Chris, or Andrew, sorry. Andrew, your comments, yay, nay?
I would table this because I think there are too many things that need to be worked out that are just not magically going to occur when they start constructing this thing. And just because that other addition was put on the way it was doesn't mean that this addition should be put on in a dissimilar fashion. I think that they could work it out. Preservation of that window at that landing, okay, but can't you also put in a smaller window and still make it work? So I would table it. I would table it for more information and a better design to incorporate the overall addition. That includes the existing addition as it is today.
You know, as a kid, I can remember some of these old houses having additions on, and they would put reflective glass in a window like that to the interior of the house and then just close the window out.
Why can't they raise it? Why can't they put a new window?
It's a landing. It's a landing. It's probably right in the middle of a wall. So,
yeah, I understand.
Chris. Sorry, I'm still on my list here.
I would support tabling it. I don't necessarily insist on it. And I've actually been thinking through what he said, and I think it's a very sensitive thing to note the window on the landing and to try to preserve it. They're raising the sill, they're keeping the head because they can't raise it. I would almost throw out there, actually I will throw out there, that the thing that makes this the most funky is continuing the iron railing. That if you're gonna have an offset in the roof, but you're gonna continue the railing, then that looks like an oops. If you just delete the railing, then yeah, it's another flat roof. And it is what it is, right? You can't access that, so why have the railing? Anyway, I would support either tabling or approving with conditions.
Brian?
You know, as I sit here and look at the railing, you know, Chris brings up a good point. If you just keep it on the existing structure and you get rid of it on the new side, you've kind of eliminated visually what's kind of weird about it.
Well, it also gives it...
Aside from the new window, the window clearance issue that they bring up, if you look at it, if I look at it without it there, it looks much better. So I think the step down is kind of weird with the railing there. I think they're trying to keep it for the wrong reasons. But if you eliminate it, it kind of takes a lot of that away. I know, aside from the drainage issues and everything else.
If you eliminate it too, it gives you the opportunity to drop that roof and keep clear of the window.
Right.
Yeah, and the window's going to be looking through the railing anyway from inside the house.
That's right.
Looking out at the railing.
That's right.
Yep.
So do we follow Chris's recommendation and propose that they drop the level below the sill and approve it?
Well, hold on. Before you do that, go to the framing plans and Do we have any type of interior plans to see how the kitchen elevation works with this mudroom elevation?
Yeah, look at the photographs too.
He's taking
Look
out
at the
a portion
photographs.
of the wall. So he is, okay, no, well, this is what I was looking for. So from the kitchen, they're stepping down 3 risers.
Is it
right?
3?
3.
Yeah.
3, looks like there's 3 risers are coming down. So
yeah,
then you could conceivably lower that roof. That's what my concern was. If they don't do a step down or did it in a different location, then that header height would stop you from being able to do that.
It looks like it says there's an 8-foot ceiling, Andrew, in the mudroom. And
Well,
the kitchen is 8'8".
But that's based on the elevation of the roof that they have proposed today. So if you drop that down a foot, then are you looking at a 7-foot ceiling height?
Yeah.
If you were, so there, that becomes a concern, right?
Yeah, and I wasn't suggesting that that roof get any lower than it is. I'm just saying.
No, that was my suggestion.
Oh, sorry.
Well, I've heard a couple suggestions. If it was able to be lowered, then you could go underneath that window and then you're all set and you're done.
And my suggestion is just remembering how the height of what was out there with the existing conditions in those photographs, because you've got quite a bit of room from the transit or the step, the sill of the doorway going to the basement all the way up. You probably got 12 feet to that window.
I don't think I follow that comment.
I don't either.
So he's driving everything off the tread of the door going to the basement. That's where he's driving his floor off. If you look at the height of what you have to the kitchen wall on the right, you have plenty of room to build his addition to match that windowsill, or to be just under it. I'm waiting for my pictures to come up. Of the existing conditions. Jeff, do you want to go to the pictures, the photographs?
You have to consider the head height of the steps down though too, because those are
right
within the addition. They're not within the volume of the kitchen.
But your head height right now is already established by that existing door.
No, going from the kitchen to the mudroom, those steps are in the volume of the addition. So if you drop that roof down, you'll be bumping your head as you come out of the kitchen.
Exactly.
No, I don't think you will, because look where that sill is compared to the existing roof. You're still a good foot or two above, a good foot and a quarter above that window.
But that window's not a
kitchen window.
That
but
window
you've got the whole
be
thickness of the rafter, the ceiling, the roofing on top.
Yeah,
I'm not convinced that there's room to lower it. I agree that if you could, that would help to further offset that a little bit. But I mean, not by a foot, maybe a few more inches.
Well, maybe if you put the comment of eliminate that rail, it will drive it and they can figure it out.
Yeah.
Or they explore it.
And then just to request that they look at some of these other conditions that we've brought up, like the downspout thing is just, that's lazy. To leave the downspout and then have it dump onto the roof is lazy. You just put a new one in over at the other side and you catch everything.
You can go over in the other direction.
Well, but just keep in mind, you can't put it underground apparently, because you don't have a location in which you can collect it and put it into your underground drains.
Yeah. Well, I guess if the railing's not there and it's just spilling over it, I mean, you could tie it into the gutter around the edge, and I'm still not, you're still hitting the same point with it. I'm not digging anything.
Digging up all that's. You're going to be digging up that area anyway, so just tie it in.
Yeah. I just don't. Actually, that's true, because they're going to have to get a footing in there somehow. So
yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah. So
I just don't understand why they can't have the same roof elevation. If you were to take that existing window in the landing and make it a half window, why can't they continue that roof across that area at the same elevation?
That would be my preference too.
Right. I don't understand. I don't understand changing that window and making a little bit shorter versus working with that orifice and putting a window in that makes, that works. You're still going to get some light out of it.
Right.
And I believe that's the concern he has, right?
Cut it basically in half.
The roof, though, are you going to be?
Well, to flip it around, I don't know what the 3 or 4 inches, whatever that they have in offsetting it is gaining them in the window.
Right, and then it helps with the headroom inside too, if that roof is higher.
Let's say you have to tie in with a support or something.
Yeah.
All right, let's write this up and go to Thanksgiving.
So are we
So what is it?
Table it or conditions? So we got the railing, we got the roof height, the window on the landing, the drainage, and the railing are all things that need to be thought through, right?
Yeah, and we're not in a position to redesign it, but so what I'll do is I'll go down the list and ask if you approve, disapprove, or table, if that works. So Mary?
I have to ask a question. What's the best thing to do if we want to call out what they need to address more thoroughly if they come back?
Right, I guess to go with that question, are we suggesting either raise the roof so it's level and change the size of that window, or make the roofs completely dissimilar and eliminate the secondary railing?
Yeah, I guess
something I think that's exactly it.
So the point I'm making is if we table it and don't tell them what they need to address, and I don't know if you can do that when you table it.
We've done it before. We table it, we give the reasons.
You could table it with conditions.
Well, we're not tabling with conditions. I think we're just tabling it and we're citing our reasons. Right? I mean, why couldn't we just say it's tabled? Return with either a roof that's continuous or offset without the railing.
Let me go down the list and see who wants to table, because if we don't have a majority to table, we're spinning our wheels. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
And if we have an approval majority, we just approve it and give them what we want. So Mary.
Yeah, I think approving it with conditions would be too complicated for us to pull off. I think we should table it.
Okay. Casey.
I go for tabling with some good suggestions.
Fran.
Table.
Andrew.
Oh, dog.
Table it.
Andrew, Mary called you a dog, I think.
No, it was Brad's dog. I was admiring.
What?
Yeah, she's cleaning her face.
Chris?
Table.
Okay, Brian.
To Mary's point, I think we should table it. There's too many things here that are a little bit complicated. So
the majority has tabling it, and now let's do the reasons.
So first is the roof line.
Yep.
And so I've heard either match the roof line all the way across, or remove the railing
from the mudroom addition.
From the addition. There was something else in there about adjusting the roof height
to the window.
I guess if they go for the option of removing the railing, what ideally do you want seen, and keeping them at 2 different heights? What was the suggestion there? Wasn't there something about?
I had suggested dropping it to the bottom of that landing window. so that
which
you
is and
preserve the, if it can be done. But,
Right.
yeah, and I'd want to word it in such a way, at least from my perspective, that you could eliminate the railing and preserve the roof offset. And if that's the direction you're going to go, also look at whether you could, lower the roof further to
Preserve
do whatever it is you're choosing to, or you'd like to see them do. I wouldn't want to say that it's either make the roof even lower and get rid of the railing or align it. I think that's what I'm trying to articulate.
Well, that could be part of the condition that we say explore removing additional railing, explore lowering.
Exactly. We have to say it like study this or
lower the proposed roof, explore lowering the proposed roof below the existing window sill, and then also take corrective action on any drainage for new drainage.
To avoid downspout
overload.
Or visibly in the center of the addition.
Yeah, I think that was the issue.
Do we want to ask for either framing details or make sure they include drainage details, whether it's a downspout or how they're draining the flat roofs?
I don't know if that should be a condition for us, but we can ask for the location of the downspouts from an aesthetic standpoint.
On elevations or plans.
The rooting and the rooting of the rainwater and downspouts. So the rooting up above the inferior downspout, but also the downspout on the addition.
And then, we can also maybe ask for location and how the management of the utilities coming into the building are going to look. So at least we get an answer on that. Because there's electric all over this thing. And their furnaces are venting over here on the outside. But anyways.
May I ask a question about the interior ceiling height? What is the minimum for code?
I'm not sure on residential code if it's 7.6 or 7.4 or 7.0.
Oh, so it's that low.
It can be. I think for bathrooms, you can go down to 7.0. I think for remain spaces, it's like 7.6.
Oh, okay. Because I was thinking that if they kept the roof line consistent all the way across, that would help with that if it was too low.
So
no,
here's
it's not too low.
Here's another point. If they lower the roof line below that windowsill, it may drive them to use the original egress from that level inside that basement entry and refigure that wall for the kitchen.
I'm really not following that either, Stuart.
All right. Okay. But anyways, that's not for us to figure out.
Can I just throw something out? I mean, you're making some suggestions of do this or do that, do this or do that. Overall perspective of this proposed addition in my mind is that it doesn't create one mass of an addition. If you go to an either or situation and we start breaking it apart more, it becomes another little piece of this structure that doesn't tie in. Can we state it in such a fashion that might be reconcile the roof heights so that the addition is tied into the existing kitchen addition and the main house as a single element and looks like a single element versus just, I mean, here's your dormer on top of your roof crap that we throw all of these ideas at him, and he'll come back with a lowered roof height, and it's still going to look, and this is my opinion, it's going to look like crap because now we have two different roof heights, and it's just it's another appendage off of something that already looks kind of hokey to begin with. It should be reconciled as a complete unit.
It's more like a performance specification than a directive, and I think it makes more sense.
I need to say this too. This is not the first time that they have been in front of us. This is not the first time that we have turned them around to redesign something. They have consistently come in with half-thought ideas on how to put an addition onto a home. And I am not afraid to suggest to them they need to get their design act together. And this needs to be done properly and correctly. That's all I got to say about that.
Thank you, Forrest. And point taken.
So Jeff, what do you have so far as tabled, and what's your recommendation?
Before that, it was either match roof lines across or remove railings from mudroom addition and explore lowering proposed roof below the window sill.
It's confusing.
Yeah, I would just.
Here's my thought, okay, about that existing landing windowsill. If you just look at the photo that's on the screen right now, I don't think that's going to work. That's going to be too low, and I'm just looking at it from the terms of you've got this area for flashing, and then you've got your joist framing, but look where it's going to be with relationship to this window, and this is below the ceiling height in here. I think it's going to be too low, and I'm not sure what the advantage is to keeping this sill. I just don't understand that.
I think the roof line's got to be at the same height to make this work. The window is like the tail wagging the dogs. I think they can find a solution for that landing window. They might have to reframe it completely, but.
Well, at the very least, yeah, I guess I agree. I'm not buying what they're selling, that they have to offset that to preserve the window. I don't.
I mean, if they don't need that window, take it out, and I would use the blank wall for art or whatever.
Yeah, or a backlit leaded glass if it's set. But yeah, the few inches that they're gaining by offsetting the roof.
It just makes too much of a mess. I think they were influenced by these offset doors. They thought that the whole thing had to be funky.
Well, okay. I like how Andrew worded it.
Yeah, I think it's good that the addition should be of a piece, and that means considering the roof line, the drainage, the railings, and the window on the stairs.
All right, let's write it up and call it a night.
Well, there is another item on the agenda.
Well, so wait, Andy can just email Jeff his write-up. Or put your paper up to the screen.
I'm working on it.
While you're working on that, is there a December after meeting?
We could do one if we have a place to go. And everyone stays 6.5 feet apart.
I'm not going inside.
No, we can go outside somewhere. Let's reserve that outdoor space at that new place on Monroe Ave, if they're open.
What place?
Cheshire.
Smoking patio?
Oh, that's right. Light it up.
So I just reconcile. I know there's more to go on this, but like reconcile roof heights is one piece of architecture, and then I don't know to go through that. I know there's got to be something about the drainage and the electrical. We'll just show him the electrical.
So you may be able to state it, reconcile the proposed addition, including the roof heights and the existing kitchen addition as one mass.
Okay.
And then the second item would then be resolve the drainage situation and gutter placement.
Gutter and downspout.
Gutter and downspout locations, and provide gutter and downspout locations.
Indicate on elevations.
Yeah.
And we don't really have to talk about that window because that just follows. If they, if they do that.
Yeah, they have to, in their resolution and how they resolve that roof line and such, that window, the window is going to be designed in such a fashion that it resolves.
And if they call up, Jeff, you could just say, look, we think that, you know, that roof line, there's a solution that will be better all the way around if they keep the roof line all the way across.
Yeah, agreed.
And do what they have to do to make it work.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone good?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.